Alrighty.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a really great topic on tonight, you guys, and we are going to be talking about alternative eating styles. A lot of different ones out there. Some of them we're accustomed to, and some of them we're not. Some of them we know about, some of them we don't. What we're going to do to get it started is we're going to go through and we're going to ask each of the cast tonight to share what they believe their eating style is, whether it's alternative or not. I would think anything that, in my opinion, anything that's out of what is considered normal, for lack of a better word, or traditional, would be considered an alternative eating style. So why don't we just go down the panel? We're getting a little bit of feedback. Does everybody have headsets in?
No.
If you don't, come on. Okay, and we're going to go down through the cast here, and we are going to get your eating style that you feel you are. We'll go ahead and start with Jenny. Jenny, what is your eating style?
Well, Rob, I do eat a vegan lifestyle. I try to focus on high carb, low fat, but I am also I'm in the middle of trying to find out like what works best for me and my level of energy and how much I train. So, but I definitely eat vegan, and I aim towards high carb and low fat. So.
Okay, and we're going to obviously get a lot more into with each of the eating styles that we talk about this evening. We want the viewers to weigh in, share what yours is. Alicia is going to be doing the comment section, sharing your comments, sharing any questions that you may have. Let's go to Tina. Tina, what is your eating style?
Well, I eat paleo, and I have now I'm now eating a modified paleo diet. And so, because of my training and the powerlifting that I'm doing, I needed to switch a little bit, tweak my diet a little bit. But paleo, that's my eating lifestyle.
And just as Jenny said, hers was high carb, low fat. What would be the basis of your eating style? Like, what would it consist of? Just
low carb.
And then we'll go more into depth with it shortly.
It's low carb, no sugar. High fat, probably the opposite.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, and Alicia, what is your eating style?
Well, mine is a high. Oh, I was gonna say high carb. It's high protein, low carb. Try to stay under a certain amount of sugar, and yeah, so pretty much high protein.
Okay. Zen, what about you?
Mine is high protein and low carb. I do try to eat as fresh, fruit and vegetable as I can, but yeah, I'm not able to consume tons of, anything at one given time. So I just try to balance it out where I have my specified number of grams per protein per day, and I try to keep my carbs down and don't eat real sugar very often, every now and then, but not as a daily event.
Okay, and I would say my eating style is currently traditional. I eat a traditional diet, which consists of not really per se keeping track of protein or carbs or sugars. The one thing I do monitor in my intake is sodium. That's something that I really stay focused on a lot. And so it's just neat to see everybody's different eating styles and so on and so forth. I want to go a little bit and ask you guys, you can just throw it out there. What are some of the eating styles that you have heard of that are out there? Like, I've heard of intuitive eating, which I want to talk about a little bit because I find it very interesting. Calorie cycling, vegetarian, vegan, that kind of a thing. So what have you guys heard about?
I mean, I've heard vegan, I've heard paleo, I've heard vegetarian. I mean, those are mostly, I know a lot of people that do like the high protein, low carb kind of stuff, Atkins kind of stuff, but
Okay.
Before
Anyone
I
else?
even started transitioning like into a vegan diet, and early on in my weight loss, I really focused on a whole foods diet, and that means that like I didn't eat anything that came out of a box or a bag. So like eating as close to your food source as absolutely possible. I cooked all my foods. I ate a lot of raw foods. A majority of my weight loss journey was a whole foods diet, and I slowly just started eating less and less meat, not necessarily consciously, but and then I decided to start transitioning. So yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I've heard of, well, a calorie-based and diet, and also keto, which I don't know that much about, but I've seen some people on YouTube that are doing a ketosis diet. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
like pretty much Atkins.
yeah.
Anything else? No? Okay. So why don't we start and throw out, I want to kind of talk about each one of the things that we talked about and question each other or challenge each other even on why we choose to do what we're doing or what the benefits are and that kind of a thing. Let's start with Jenny. Jenny, you're vegan, so you don't eat any meat whatsoever. I know a lot of people's big question is going to be, why do you choose not to eat any meat at all?
You know, Rob, at one point I was a vegan previously in my life. I've always had a really connection with animals, and I really started educating myself recently about animal rights and the way our industry processes our food. When I started a whole foods diet, I think a lot of the reason that I quit eating so much meat is because of learning about all the chemicals and things and hormones and the chemicals from plastic wrapping around meat. It's just really hard to avoid, and it's really almost next to impossible to make sure that your meat or your animals are being treated in a humane way, and to buy that kind of meat is really, really, really expensive. So for me, switching to vegan has really been me reconnecting with food and putting food into my body that I feel good about and not eating a calorie restricted diet anymore. So
Okay. Tina, what about the paleo process? What made you choose that? What stood out about that above everything else?
Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about paleo. I was weighed in at 382 pounds. My trainer said, this is what I think you need to do, because I was going to be having, I was planning on having weight loss surgery. I was going to have RNY, gastric bypass, and she said, let's try this paleo. Let's see if this works. Now, at 382 pounds, I did not have high blood pressure, diabetes. I didn't have any health risks, any health. I didn't have anything like diabetes or anything, but I do have heart disease in my family. Well, paleo really targets helping us eliminate disease in our bodies, and that really, you know, my mom died young, my grandpa died young, and I was attracted to that because I want to live a long life. So I got the book, and let me just show you guys, for those of you out there that are watching that, what's paleo. This is a book, and this is called The Paleo Solution by Rob Wolf. And I've read this whole book, and I go back to it, and it just explains, and I can't go into depth because I don't remember everything, what sugar does to our body and all these different things. Now, paleo, though, is meat, and so it's interesting because it's, Jenny and I are the total opposite. We eat but I mean, I do, and it's not a lot of fruit because of the sugar, even though it's natural sugar. Paleo, we don't eat a lot of fruit. We eat a lot of vegetables, no grains, which is no breads, no rice, no quinoa. It's mainly, like my husband says, you just like eat nuts and berries. Primarily.
Isn't that the one where they say eat like a caveman or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard
And
that.
we eat beef, and I understand, what Jenny was saying too about it is expensive, and like, I know I've talked to Rob about this before. That's where I choose to spend my money, is on organic food. And so I'm able to afford that. I'm able to do that, where I know some people can't. I'm able to do that, and so that's why I think I been successful, maybe, that I'm able to do that. And yeah, I love it. I feel great. I feel great.
Okay, and then Alicia and Zen, you guys basically, I'm not saying you eat the same, but your structure is somewhat the same. Like the high protein, low carbs, no sugar, that kind of thing. So, why don't you two weigh in a little bit on that and let us know?
Well, I know for me it started obviously when I had before I had my surgery. Ooh, there's a lot of feedback in there. So, I just eat, I do eat higher protein, like I'm supposed to have between 60 to 80 grams of protein a day. And I do try to do that. It's been hard because like I try to limit my meat. I'm actually gotten to the point where I'm tired of eating a lot of meat. I pretty much, like right now, I pretty much I'm only doing chicken, because I find that I get the most protein from the chicken. But and I'm kind of like I'm really strange, I guess. I call myself strange because I'm kind of like in between a lot of different, like I don't really like the way I'm eating right now, but I don't really know how I want to eat, so I'm kind of like torn between a lot of different things. I'm trying to find what I like, and stuff. So I don't know. I would say that I kind of like different eating styles, I have a good friend she for like 10 years was like I believe a vegan, and so she actually took me to my first like vegan restaurant, and I didn't know what the heck it was, and and I really enjoyed it. Like I really liked it. And when some people would be like, "Ooh, that's gross," I'm like, what is gross about it? Like, why not try new things? It may be gross to you because you've never tried it, but so I'm just kind of like torn in between. I'm not really choosing. I chose high protein, low carb because I had to for my surgery, and
Okay.
afterwards the first year. But now I'm just kind of like really torn between what I want to do. So I'm not really exactly sure.
Okay, and Zen, what about you?
Okay, well, I do the high protein. I I do eat a variety of different meat, mostly fish and chicken and turkey. I do also have some beef here and there. I love Korean barbecue, but I don't live on it. So yeah, I like having vegetables. I do have some fruit. I also watch the carbs in the fruit. I usually eat the low glycemic fruit like blueberry, strawberry, watermelon, and I try to stay with those, some of the melons and berries, depending on what the season is. And I do drink protein shakes. My doctor tells me I don't absorb enough protein, so I still drink the shakes once a day at least. And if he was sitting right here, I would say, yeah, I have 2 a day, but I don't want to lie. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I got off them for like 3 months where I didn't have any after having them all the time. But so for me, I have to have a higher protein. I think I gain. Truthfully, my body just starts to go up if I don't have enough protein. So yeah, I'm not disgusted or dissatisfied with eating meat, tofu, vegetables. I'm good because I move around. I don't stick with one thing all
Okay.
the time for dinner and stuff. I just don't do that.
We do have a comment coming in, and I know Lisa is going to watch the comments, but I do want to read this comment. It's makes up 07. It says, my diet is traditional. I try to stay away from carbs as much as possible because I don't like the way I feel after eating them. Not gluten intolerant, I just don't like how I feel after. And that leads into something that I wanted to say about the way that I eat. I eat a traditional I eat a traditional way right now. But for several months, I had been looking into pescatarianism, which don't get it confused with Presbyterian. Being a Presbyterian, it has nothing to do with religion. Okay, pescatarianism is somebody who does not eat any land-based animals. They do eat fish, and then their diet consists of fruits, vegetable, nuts. It's nothing to a vegan diet. A lot of the belief is that when the milk that is used to make the cheese and the milk and things like that, the animal is alive. I'm not, this is something that I've done for the last 8 days because I wanted to give it a try. It is something I am very much leaning towards. I've been researching it for months, and it is something that may be a go for me. The reason is I agree with Jenny. I believe that animals have an absolute right to be treated humanely while they are living and so on and so forth. I am a believer that animals are on the planet for human consumption. I'm talking about not pets and things like that. I'm talking about livestock that is here for consumption. Some people may not agree with that. That's fine. That's my belief. My biggest thing is that those animals deserve to be treated humanely until they are sent to slaughter for human consumption. That is not I agree with Jenny 100% on that. That is not the reason that I am looking towards going pescatarian. I am looking that way because after I eat meat in general, I just don't physically feel well. I don't get nauseous or nothing like that. I physically don't feel like I can digest that very well. And I do have a hiatal hernia that I've had for probably 10 plus years. The doctors don't want to do surgery on that, and I think that exacerbates it. And fish is less dense, it's flaky, it breaks down. I have no problem consuming that. It's a major protein source, and it is something that I feel I could live a lifestyle of and am interested in it. And I've spoke with a few people about it, and I'm excited about it. But having said that out here, if any of the viewers that are watching want to let us know what you do, then go ahead and throw that out there, and we'll get that out on the air. So is there any kind of eating style that anybody wants to throw out there or talk about and really get down into that topic about for a little bit here?
Mm.
Okay, so nobody's saying anything, so I'll bring it up. There's a couple things that I've recently seen that I found very interesting, and if you don't know what these are, then they'd be something worth going and maybe watching on YouTube or looking up. One of them is called intuitive eating. I thought this was a very interesting way of eating. It's where you take a plate and you can take as much of whatever you want to eat that you want and put it on your plate. The thing is that from my understanding from the two people that I followed, you start with the food that you like to eat fast, and then you go to the next food and to the next food, but you stop when you get full. It's a matter of knowing, I guess, when to hit those brakes and say, okay, I'm full, and then the rest of the plate gets put away or thrown away or whatever. But I've seen people who do that, and this plate is heaping with food because there's not a restriction on the amount they can eat. It's that they're learning to say, okay, I'm full, that's enough. And they suggest that you start with the foods that you like first and fill up on those because it builds a better relationship with food. This is the person that I spoke with and what they said, and I thought for an addict that could be absolutely
disastrous.
Yeah, for lack of a better word. So, what are you guys' thoughts on intuitive eating? And you don't necessarily have to know all about it to weigh in. I gave you a synopsis of it, and let me know your thoughts on that.
I don't
think it's for.
Go ahead.
I just don't think it would be for me. It would. I don't understand the whole thought process behind it. I just don't. And like you said, for those of us with eating disorders and binge eating, I just don't think. I don't know how that would work. I think that would kind of mess with your head because it's in our head, and so I don't. And obviously, if it works for some people, that's fine. Please don't get me wrong, but it's something I just don't understand, and it's something I couldn't do.
Yeah. For me, you put a plate of pizza in front of Daddy or a plate dressing and you know, some cheesecake or something, and you put as much on there as you want, like they were saying. Well, being a food addict and a binge eater, I'm not going to know when to stop. If I knew how to stop, I wouldn't have been 322 pounds, is the way I'm looking at it. But I'm sure there's a lot more to intuitive eating than what I know. So anyone that is an intuitive eater, we mean absolutely no disrespect. We're basing it off just experience from people that we know or videos that we have seen. Does anybody, Zen, you were going to weigh in on that. What were you going to say?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that I think for me that it would be disastrous, and if you put the food that you like on there first, I mean, you're just going to I would just make myself sick, probably. And, I mean, I don't know, isn't it kind of like what we tried before that failed us? I mean, just eating as we felt the need to. Whatever that was we wanted to eat, we ate, not necessarily all sweets or all bread, or, you know, we thought we were eating normal, remember? I mean, I thought I was eating normal.
Well, I do think with intuitive eating, the thought process is that you're supposed to be learning how to build a relationship with these foods. So while you say you can eat as much as you want of A, B, and C, you have to have a long enough foot to hit those brakes. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, you're hitting the gas and you're never hitting the brake, and you're going to get bigger than a barn. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
does anyone else on the panel want to weigh in on intuitive eating, or just share your thoughts on it, or anything at all? If not, we'll move on to another form of eating.
Well, I just say my brakes are broken, so that's not going to work for me. No, it just doesn't work for me. I have a hard time right now. I'm like, if I put something on there, even if I measure it or weigh it out and I get full, I still want to eat it because I see it and it just looks good, and it is good. So, yeah, I could never do that. That wouldn't work for me.
I think it would be hard. Viewers, if you want to weigh in, you can. Oops, we're getting feedback. Viewers, if you want to weigh in, you can go ahead and feel free to weigh in. We do have a couple things coming in. I know Embracing Wellness is watching, and it says, "Hi everyone, looking forward to tonight's topic." I believe that Nadine is, I don't want to say a strict vegetarian because I know she'll eat meat once in a while, but her and her mom, they eat a very plant-based diet from what I can tell from watching her videos. I mean, they have other stuff in there, but it looks very plant-based to me. She has a great channel. I know that Jennifer Bleacher is here tonight watching the show, and Kat gets her sexy back. It says, "Hey everyone, I eat traditional, but just watch my calorie intake. I cycle my calories weekly between 1,000 and 1,250. It has worked for me, and I don't feel restriction at all. I eat veggies and fruits regularly." Lori has hope here, and Pink Fairy is here also. So we do have people watching. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have of the cast tonight, and also share any alternative eating styles that you know of. Another alternative eating style that comes to mind is calorie cycling. Now, Kat said something about calorie cycling, and I may be wording it wrong, but I know some people that allow themselves a certain amount of calories per day, but they don't eat the calories consistently. Like, they'll bank their calories and use them if they have like a wedding coming up, or like a honeymoon or an event or something like that. And I thought that was called calorie cycling, but I could be way off on that. But have you guys heard of people doing that method of eating, where they'll bank up calories and then like throw down?
No.
No.
Rob, like I know I've watched a YouTuber that does it, but I think it's to like an extreme level. Like I don't know if it's intermittent fasting or calorie cycling. I think they're similar, not entirely similar. Or she'll have like 500 calories one day and 1,000 calories the next day, and you know, I think it's kind of setting yourself up for disaster going into a day completely starving. And I think in that means of deprivation, and then shoving in the calories, shoving them in. Like, I think you're teaching your body to store fat and to store excess calories. That's just what I believe about the metabolism. I never have done any kind of low-calorie restriction at all. I've always ate 1,200 calories or more. I now eat like 3,000 a day, but I just think that cycling like that in extreme ways where you're going from, like the restriction to teaches your body doesn't train your metabolism well.
I think Khalif used to do that. What's that called?
Intermittent
I did
fasting.
it too.
Intermittent fasting. I think he used to do that, and I don't think he does that anymore. At least I haven't heard him talk about it in a long time. But I will say, when I heard that, I always thought, oh my goodness, I don't know. Khalif and I had a lot of the same eating struggles and battled a lot of the same demons when it came to eating, and I could never imagine not eating before a certain time of the day and then eating all my calories between like noon and 7 or something like that. For me, there has to be some form of consistency, and I guess if someone does that religiously, it's consistency. But to me, it's not a smart consistency. But I ain't a nutrition, I ain't a dietitian. I'm just telling you what Daddy thinks.
I used to do that. I did intermittent fasting for 9 months, and it was where I would eat between 11 and 7. And I would.
What's the purpose of it, Tina, for those of us who really don't know?
Well, it's supposed to regulate our blood sugar, and it's for those of us in the gym. Really, a lot of people who do intermittent fasting are powerlifting, bodybuilding. It's to build muscle. It's it's fasted working out, so you work out before you eat.
Right.
And it's something with your metabolism, and it's just this big thing. I did it for 9 months, and I'll tell you, I liked it, but for me, I did not have enough energy to work out. Working out fasted is not for me. I can't do that. I feel sick. Where I remember Khalif in some of his videos said that he feels sick to go to eat. When he ate something to go work out. So I know a lady tonight I was just talking to at the gym. She's intermittent fasting, and she said she about passed out on the bike. I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that to yourself? Have some protein. Before I lift, I have protein. I have my workout fuel during my workout, and then I have protein and vegetables after, and that works for me. But the intermittent fasting was just to build muscle and lean out. It's just It's a bodybuilding thing.
Did it work?
Well, I'm not cut the way I want to. Yeah. I didn't lose a whole bunch of weight. No.
And you didn't feel good either. So yeah.
And I didn't feel good. And I think kind of like Rob was saying too, it's like when you're eating, okay, it's 11 o'clock, so I'm going to eat. And if you're eating maybe 2,000 calories, you feel like you got to get all that in between 11 and 7, then you don't eat anymore. So for those of us, it works for some people. But for those of us that have an eating disorder, and I explain that to my trainer, it doesn't work for me. I tried it. It just wasn't a lifestyle that I could live with because it just didn't work for me. So
we're going to go a little further on that topic in just a second, but I do want to say that Lori Has Hope says she is sure that intuitive eating would not work for her. Nadine said, yep, you are right, Rob. We try to eat a mostly plant-based diet, but at odd times we will like to have some bacon on a pizza. I know that's right. And send me an invitation, Nadine. I'm coming to dinner. Lori Has Hope also said, I think it would be hard on our system to go from a low amount of calories to an excessive amount of calories in a short time. I prefer to stay with about the same amount of calories each day. And I remember at times Khalif saying he'd get to the end of the day and he'd have 2,600 calories, or because he was eating a higher amount of calories, I believe, and eating a high amount of calories, but because he didn't eat during the day because of the of this intermittent fasting, and then he'd be busy at would get home from work and he'd have all these calories to eat at one time. And you know, I think he felt, the way he made it sound, he felt obligated to eat those calories. So if he got home and he had 2,500 calories, he was going to eat them 2,500 calories. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think he does it anymore, but if he does, you know, for anybody
know
that it
that
works for, good for you.
I know that when he was doing that, I remember he posted something. I think it was on Instagram or Facebook or something. And on both Instagram and Facebook, people were really getting after him about not going to the gym and, you know, not having something to eat before he went to the gym, because he wouldn't eat until like the middle of the day or the, you know,
Or at
towards
night.
the evening. Yeah, and stuff. So I know a lot of people were giving him a lot of crap about that.
I want to take a second, you guys, and call out some of the people on the cast, only because I think we're here to talk about it and make this fun for the viewers and stuff. So
Yeah.
what I mean by that is I do have a couple questions. I want to go to Jenny, and I want to ask you a few questions about the vegan lifestyle. I don't know where you fall on this, but Pam has made it clear, and Pam isn't here tonight, you guys, because she's sick. So we're wishing her best wishes to get well very quickly. She is sick, so she could not be with us tonight, but Pam is converting over to vegan, whereas Jenny is already vegan. So this is the question I have, and Pam's the one that brought this up, and she talked about it in the green room before the show. And one of her biggest things is she noticed that a lot of people that are vegan are very judgmental of other people's way of eating, especially when it comes to trying to tell them how they should eat. I'm not saying every vegan, please don't take it that way, but I do know people that are vegan, and they do tend to be somewhat critical, I believe, of the way that other people eat or the fact that they eat meat. And so, Jenny, I want you to weigh in on that because you live that vegan lifestyle. And the rest of the panel, please weigh in also. Jenny, the floor is yours.
You know, I do hear what you're saying. And, you know, the thing that for me is, like, when it comes to people that are really in your face about their lifestyle, or, like, oh, you know, cholesterol. I mean, there's so many different opinions on how you should eat. I mean, look at all of us. We all choose different ways you should eat. And all we know is in America that cancer, that heart disease, and obesity is killing people at rapid rates. And I think that people that tend to get into the vegan lifestyle become really compassionate once they become educated about animal rights. And they don't want to see people contributing to an industry where there's so much animal cruelty, animal abuse. And once you really start learning about that, I've actually seen it myself. I think that people just get lost in that compassion of, like, you know, that cow shouldn't have had to die for your couch. You know what I mean? You know, our shoes aren't a necessity to that animal's life. And there's a lot of things about the meat industry that are really, really messed up in our country. And it's not so in every country. And I think that we were talking about this in my ethics class the last 3 days. So you can imagine that was really hard for me. I think for me, if you're educated and you decide that you don't have a problem contributing to that industry and the way that you want to be a consumer of products, that's your life and it's not mine. I just think that a lot of people aren't educated about the issues facing our country because of animal consumption. So I definitely don't and never have, like, pushed, like, my diet on, like, you have to eat this way. I am really compassionate about animal rights and stuff, but, you know, Rob, it's a hard thing to say. I think that sometimes people mistake vegans' compassion about animal cruelty to be, like, pushing something in your face. So I don't know.
And I've seen both ends of it, but I guess then my point would be, instead of going out and picketing signs in front of a supermarket or stuff, why don't they try to take measures to try to get some changes within the industry? Because there are slaughterhouses that are inspected, they're very clean, they operate, they treat the animals very humanely until they're put down. Now, if someone disagrees with animals being slaughtered, that's a vegan, they're never going to be okay with it. But this is my point. You're not going to stop somebody that wants to eat meat from eating meat because they're going to do it. If your true focus is animals being treated, it would be, we need to get some petitions, we need to do something to get to the higher powers that can hold and make higher regulations on these slaughterhouses towards the treatment of animals until they're slaughtered. Because the slaughtering of animals for human consumption, it's not going to stop. And someone going out in the grocery store because they sell meat, with all due respect, you're wasting your time. You may feel good at the end of the day, but the grocer is still going to order the meat and people are still going to come in and buy it. People need to be going to those slaughterhouses or to the powers that be that can hold them to a higher standard. That would be my thought process. Doesn't mean it's right, just would be my thought process. Anybody else want to weigh in?
Well, I have a small ranch, and we sell lambs to people to eat. And here in my area, we bring our animals in, and we've seen how they slaughter the animals, slaughter the lambs. My daughter has walked her animal in and onto the kill floor and haltered and let it go, and that's part of life, and that's part of us in a ranching community. On a ranch, we sell, but we raise our animals with love. We take care of them, and then we go, and we know that then they're going to feed, And so I know, Jenny, that's probably really, really hard. I mean, we're animal lovers. We take really good care of our animals. My daughter is going to be going to school to be a veterinarian. We love our animals. So, but it is like Rob was saying. I mean, I think meat is, God put it here for us to eat. That's my opinion. But I think those kill floors that I have seen with the horses. We have horses, and my husband is passionate about that. He wants to shut them all down because that is terrible what they do to these horses.
It is horrendous. I've seen some of that stuff. Horrible. And we just, that's not something that in our community, ranching community, we provide. We're not certified organic, but we know what we put in our animals, and we know that, and we have a good reputation for our lamb, and they're loved, they're taken care of, and so that's kind of my thoughts about the whole thing. Yeah. Alicia, then?
Well, I grew up, my family, they would buy, they would never go to the grocery store and buy meat at the grocery store. It was always, they always, bought it, the animal, had it butchered, and stuff like that. I mean, my father, my grandfather, they would go deer hunting. I mean, there was just that's the kind of stuff that we ate. But myself, more and more, I see different. I've been researching. I've been looking at a lot of things on what the things that they do now to these animals, and just how they're trying to just pump them up, and just they want them bigger. Like, we want everything bigger, and stuff. And the thought of that, I mean, makes me sick. The thought of that makes me sick and stuff. So that's why I am really torn on, what to eat, what not to eat. How will this make me feel? How will it not make me feel? And stuff. I mean, like I said, I grew up. It wasn't like that. It just wasn't like that, and now it is and stuff. And it really breaks my heart. It really does.
Then?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to get off into a dialogue of myself about the treatment of animals and so forth, because I mean that could be an entire show. But I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, I think that the meats contain a lot of things that maybe we didn't know about before that we are now more exposed and out in the public knowledge. So, you know, my thing about the vegan or people who don't eat meat, the ones that I know, what I object to is when they just talk about it as flesh. You know, oh, you're gonna have flesh, and I'm like,
Mm.
you know what? That's just like a disgusting way to have conversation, in my opinion. I mean, if that's how you feel about meat as flesh and so forth, then keep that to yourself. It isn't something that I want to have a discussion about when we're out to dinner or we're interacting with one another as friends. To me, it just kind of throws this taint onto the whole conversation, and that's just my opinion. So, I mean, like I said, I think it's said for its effect, and it definitely has a disgusting effect on me. You know, I mean, because I don't. Who wants to think about stuff like that when they're talking about eating out or whatever? And it is what it is. You know, those people who are going to eat meat are going to eat meat, and those who don't want to don't. That's just my thoughts on it.
Jenny, I know the other night on the show we talked about we were talking about if you could take one food and make it disappear from the world. Brooke automatically thought you were going to say meat, and you said, actually, I'm not going to say meat. I'm going to say something else. But what you did say was that you wish there was more restrictions on what is fed to the animals, so that there wasn't so many chemicals and things being then put inside of us. If I remember right, that's what you said. So I think that goes to show that while you believe in the vegan lifestyle and so on and so forth, I don't see you as someone who passes judgment. I see you as someone who wants human rights, or not human rights, excuse me, humane rights for animals and things like that. And I think that that's honorable and that's great. So I do remember that specifically coming up.
The one thing, I mean, I'd like to say about that is, like, I mean, if you look at the Chinese population, they eat a lot of carbs, they eat a lot of rice. Like, I mean, we're talking rural Chinese. Like, in the China study, like, they eat a lot of rice, they eat a lot of carbs, they don't eat a lot of processed food, but they do eat meat. You know, and we have these diseases in our society that are killing people, and we have a high protein diet of processed protein. And unfortunately, like, the meat that is coming from Walmart and Albertsons and whatever store you have from is not Tina's lambs. I mean, it's not the meat you're going to buy. You know, these are coming from factory farms. And the stance I've always taken for myself, Rob, really in the end, is that I always felt it was wrong for me to eat animals because I never could participate in the killing of an animal. Like, I don't see anything fun about that. I would never want to shoot a deer. I would never, I just don't see anything fun about that, and I don't see anything enjoyable about that. And so I always felt this ethical dilemma for me personally, that is that something I really should be partaking in if I really truly have to remove myself that far from the killing of the animal by going and picking up a package of chicken legs and not thinking about it as a living animal, you know. And so for me, I just don't feel right partaking in the consumption of that animal if I'm not willing to take its life. And so that's where I really come from, and I think that's a decision people make on their own.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I love your dedication and you're putting your heart and soul into it, and that's something that is great. Just like I respect Zen's way of eating, Tina's way of eating, and I look at it as, you know, for what everybody wants to do, that's fine. I'll be the first one to step up to the plate and say, let's do something about the treatment of these animals until they're slaughtered. But I do believe that if someone chooses to eat that, it doesn't make them a bad person. It's not wrong if it's not wrong in their eyes. And I'm not saying that you feel that way. I just think that people got to do what they want to do and what they feel is best for their health or their system or what they feel most comfortable with. I want to ask all of you guys, because you all have, I wrote down when I asked you your way of eating. And now, Jenny, you said the basis of what you do is high carb, low fat. Well, we know what low fat means. So, what kind of high carb foods do you consume to get that high carb count? And then we're going to go to Tina and we're going to ask her about the high fat. And we're going to go to Zen and Alicia and ask them about proteins that they consume and that kind of a thing. But let's start with Jenny. And what is the high carb that you're consuming to get that high carb, low fat platform?
I try to eat 2 raw meals a day. I eat 1 cooked meal a day. I eat a lot of rice, a lot of potatoes. Of course, with like sauce, I try to really focus on like low sodium, and I eat tons and tons and tons of fruit all the time. So.
Okay. So that's where your high carb base is coming from. Tina, high fat.
Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's not super high fats, but we do add healthy fats into paleo does. Olive oil, nuts, coconut oils. You've got your healthy fats. You've got avocados. There's a lot of different things that we add that way. Now, I don't eat high fat, but I do incorporate fats. I eat 180 to 200 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of protein.
Is that coming from basically a meat source then?
I eat a lot of chicken, and let's just say we butcher our own chickens, Jenny, and that's something I cannot. Seriously, we raise them. I
couldn't do it.
I personally, I can't watch it, but the chicken is so good, and we know what we put into them. Just like our sheep have absolutely no hormones, no nothing. Just they're grass fed. They get grain in the wintertime because we get 50 below, so we have to give them grain. So I get most of my protein. I eat a lot of eggs, and I eat a lot of meat, and I eat nuts, and I do have a protein shake. I was drinking a lot of protein shakes, and I kind of weaned myself off of that, and I will. For me, sometimes just to go to the gym, it's easier an hour before I'm going to go to the gym, grab a protein shake, and call it good. But
okay.
And when we eat,
No, finish up. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, Alicia, do we have anything coming in from the viewers?
Yeah, there was a couple of things. Embracing Wellness said, I have 2 sisters. One sister's a vegan, and the other sister eats meat and raises chicken on their farm to eat. They each think they are right, and the other is wrong. So, yeah. So, and then Lori Has Hope says, I agree with you, Zen. Flesh as a description for meat sounds disgusting. Ew.
Yeah.
Well, and touching on that, and then we're going to go to Zen and them. I think that someone that would bring that up and say, oh, you're going to eat flesh at dinner, that is, to me, that's being facetious, and that's just a way of trying to make somebody feel bad for something they're doing. I don't, I wouldn't chastise or criticize somebody that's a vegan for not eating meat, questioning, well, your health is going to go down. If they would say, they, in my opinion, don't even have the right to say, I can't believe you're eating meat, but to say, I can't believe you're going to eat flesh, that's over the top to me. That is rude and inconsiderate. And
I agree.
If you want to do that and say that thing, there's a platform for that. At the dinner with a friend is not the platform to do it.
Right.
Now, we could be wrong, because me and my girl, Jenny, we're going to Vegas sometime, and I'm going to get something to eat that's going to be good, and I know she's going to dog me out on it and say, I can't believe you're eating it. But we'll be joking. We'll be joking 100%.
No,
So
I'll be saying,
her.
and I love meat. I'm not going to tell you that I do not love a steak. I can sit down to a 16-ounce steak and destroy it myself, but I will be sitting there and be like, oh, I remember when I used to eat that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd probably be eating fish if I went ahead and transformed over to something that I'm considering doing, going that route. But I'd still eat it in front of you and maybe burp and blow it on you. I'm just kidding. I'm telling you, Tina can testify. I do that. I will burp and blow it on somebody and say, "There's some cupcake for you" or something like that. You know? So,
Rob,
uh,
seriously.
That's sexy, Rob. That's too sexy.
I do that. So, going real quick, let's go to Zen and Alicia. And I'm not lumping you guys together, but you do eat kind of the same because you're both surgery patients for weight loss. So there is restrictions and certain things you have to do and things like that. Both eat a high protein, low carb. Alicia said low sugar. Zen said she eats a lot of fresh fruit and vegetable when she can, is what I wrote down. I hope I wrote that stuff down right. So let's start with Alicia. What is your way of getting in a high protein? What is that?
Well, I do. Well, first of all, let me say me and my nutritionist, we don't agree on a lot of things because for my milk, she wants me to drink cow's milk, and I refuse to drink cow's milk, partly because I am lactose intolerant, and so I can't. She's asked me to do the lactate, and I refuse. The only milk I will drink is almond milk. That's the only kind I like. I've even made it myself, which is super easy, and I enjoy almond milk. That's all I'll drink. She's even asked me to drink soy milk, and I don't do soy. I won't do soy. So, but I do. And she does not want me to do shakes. They do not want me to drink protein shakes, but I do. It's just a decision that I made for myself. That's how I get in, some of my protein. I usually eat chicken and eggs, stuff like that. I do eat a lot of processed foods, and that's one thing that I need to step away from, but I do eat a lot of processed foods, cheese and stuff like that. I do vegetables. I can't really do much fruit. I do love bananas. That's one thing. I can eat too many bananas in a day. I have to be very careful with that because, I could get a bunch of bananas and, literally want to sit there and eat them, all day, and stuff. And now, every time I buy bananas, I am not kidding you, I think of Jenny because, I always see pictures of her and her holding bananas. So, every time I see bananas, every time I buy them, I think of Jenny. Anyway, but that's, I can't do any kind of citrus fruit just because it makes me sick. I can't, stuff like that. So I can't really do much fruit, but yeah.
Okay, so what about a low carb? If you do have a carb, what is your carb? Because you did say low carb. So what would a carb be for you?
My carb, I do some bread. I don't do a lot of bread, but I do some bread, and usually potatoes. I do potatoes. I know some people, they think potatoes are so bad for you, but I don't feel like they're bad for you at all. So that's usually what I do.
What about tortillas?
I don't do much tortillas. It's tortillas, and I don't really do much of them. Occasionally, I do. If I do a tortilla, I get these really, they're pretty much mini. They're really small and stuff, so I do that, but yeah.
Okay. Then what about you? What is your high protein?
I do eat fish. I like salmon, ahi, tuna. Those are about 35 grams for the portion that I have of protein, so that's always a good source to have some fish. I do turkey, chicken. I usually eat about 3 ounces and can eat maybe a little more if it's like a soft fish versus a dense fish. Dense fish, 3 ounces will be the maximum. So that's why I have the shake. I try to have at least one and I'm supposed to drink it over 3 hours time, not fast. So that's how I get most of my protein. I do eggs. I like eggs either for breakfast or, just whenever, a boiled egg. I throw stuff into my salad, additional protein. I like turkey bacon. That is processed. I don't eat too much of it, but I do like it. And so mostly I do spinach is my vegetable of choice. I do lots of handfuls of spinach and I like pretty much all vegetables. Yeah, I like pretty much all squash vegetables are all really good for me. And fruit, I do love it, but I can't eat too much of it. So I just try to, have a minimal amount or whatever amount I feel that for the carbs I want to have for that day to keep myself in line. Because I got to keep myself in line.
Now, have any of you ever swallowed a whole hard-boiled egg?
No.
No.
We probably wouldn't be here, Rob.
Jenny or Tina, have either of you swallowed a whole hard-boiled egg?
No.
Oh, goodness.
It was just a question in my mind.
Have
so
you,
I thought
Rob?
I could ask.
Well, something had to come up during the show. Didn't we just have this discussion before the show started?
Right.
Rob.
Lori has hope is weighing in and saying, I agree with you too, Rob. I mean, of course, who doesn't? Just kidding. There is no point for anyone to be rude about something another person is eating. I believe in good manners. Kidding is different and fun, but there is no excuse for being rude. And you know what? I know that, and I know that's right. Okay.
That's right.
I have something to say about that. Last
Okay.
night, I had mentioned how I haven't been eating the best, and stuff. My eating has just kind of been off. I've been since I've been recuperating at home, I tend to sit around a lot, not really exercising because I haven't been cleared to exercise. And I had a lady that actually said to me, well, you need to be honest with yourself. She's like, who's enabling you? Why is Chris enabling you? Why are you bullying him into bringing you food? Why? And I was like, lady, you don't know me. Maybe the 500-pound Alicia used to get up and not get up and have everyone bring things to her. But at, 360 pounds now, I do everything for myself. And it just really bothered me that someone would take something that little I said and just assume that, I'm just sitting around having people, like, serve me hand and foot, I'm just like, it's ridiculous how people will judge someone else when they don't know what's really going on.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens a lot.
I didn't even say what I was eating, and to be honest, I stayed within my calorie goal yesterday, which was like 1,000 calories. And it's just crazy to me how people are just so judgmental,
We do have a question that's come in, and it'll probably be the last one for the show. So let me read this question that came in. This is from Mom's Makeup 07. It says, how will the way you all eat affect your Thanksgiving with family? Let's start with Jenny. Jenny, how will the way you eat affect your Thanksgiving? Or I know you don't have family where you live, so to say, but how will it affect your Thanksgiving? Like, what will you eat?
Well, I'm going to be alone, and so I don't know what I'm going to make. I'm going to have some fun. I'm thinking about, like, making a curry. I just made gnocchi for the first time the other night, so I'm just going to make something extra special that I wouldn't typically spend the money on. So I'm going to make a really nice dinner for myself and just celebrate being thankful.
Okay, and Tina, what about you? How is the way you eat going to affect your Thanksgiving with family?
It's not. It doesn't. I'm having Thanksgiving here at my house, so they'll have to eat what I feed them. Turkey.
All right.
Organic. We're cooking an organic turkey, and then my husband is smoking a ham in our big smoker, and then my mother-in-law is making mashed potatoes and gravy. I will not have that. I'm probably gonna have a little sweet potato, and then yeah, I'm making my birthday well, mine and Rob, we both have the same birthday, is on Saturday.
Yeah.
So my daughter is making paleo pumpkin bars, and so they're so amazing. I'm so excited, and so I'll have that, and then I'll have broccoli because I love broccoli, and I'm gonna eat like I normally do. And if I want to have something, I will, but I probably won't. I am gonna have a cocktail, maybe two.
There you go. There ain't nothing wrong with that. What about you, Alicia? How is the way that you eat going to affect your Thanksgiving with family, or what are you going to have?
Well, we'll be at my mom's and stuff, and she makes all kinds of stuff, and I just pretty much it's really big for me this last couple years because I know Thanksgiving or get-togethers, it's always been like they would only be like, well, what can you eat? We'll only make what you can eat. And I'm like, please don't, like, I don't want anyone to give me, like, only make what I can eat. I'm like, I'm a big girl. I'll grab what I can have, and I won't grab what I can't, and stuff. So pretty much, I mean, except for rice, because I don't do rice, I will probably just have a couple bites of everything or whatever I feel like, looks good. And I just pretty much have a little bit of everything. And,
Don't swallow a hard-boiled egg whole.
I won't swallow a hard-boiled egg. Goodness.
Then, how will the Thanksgiving, the way you eat, affect with family, or what are you planning on having besides a hard-boiled egg?
Yeah, right? That would be my first choice, actually.
Right.
I just do normal Thanksgiving. I just have to have like far reduced portions of any like potato or stuffing, like a tablespoonful of that. Otherwise, I'll be too full to eat the protein. So I start with the turkey. I always have gravy. I like cranberry with every bite. And then I'll have a little bite of stuffing. I will have the vegetable, whatever the vegetable is, whether I cook here or go out. I usually cook here even if I do go out so that the family has, they can eat it for days they like to eat it. So yeah, I make the same traditional dishes. I just eat my portion size, and I have my little plate. I don't worry about it. Nobody says anything to me. They're used to me by now, and they laugh, So I don't care. It's just how I get by. And if I'm going to have a little pie or whatever, then I'm going to have a little pie. It's not going to be the beginning or the end of my journey.
Right.
A day that passes through, bro.
Well, I will be on a plane flying that day, and I originally had a 45 to 50-minute layover at Minneapolis, and now it's been put to 3 hours. They added time onto it. But if I have to be at an airport, that is an amazing airport. It's very beautiful to be at. So I told my mama, when I talked to her the other night, I said, you saved me some dressing with some sausages. Anything else she can put away. But there's a huge difference between stuffing and dressing, and I love me some dressing. I ain't gonna lie. Okay.
I do have to say that I don't eat pumpkin pie, but what I do is I take acorn squash, and thanks to Miss Tina over there for showing me about the acorn squash. I actually instead of pumpkin pie, I like to cook the acorn squash and put like cinnamon and stuff on it and eat that instead. It tastes so much the same to me.
Yeah.
So
it tastes like pudding.
Do you like it better than the pumpkin pie, you think? Well, you don't like
I do.
Probably.
I do.
No, but
It's
the
amazing.
acorn squash wouldn't be good with whipped cream on it, though, would it?
It probably would.
Yeah, it would.
Probably wouldn't. Are y'all crazy? That's nasty.
It might be
Ooh,
good.
that's nasty.
I like, but if you give me sweet potato pie, then that's a hard one because I love sweet potato pie. But
I mean, you went from acorn squash to sweet potato pie. Now, come on.
hey,
Rob, I hope you don't get too much snow there at that airport, and that you might get stuck in Minneapolis.
They got a Burger King. I'm going to be getting me a veggie Whopper. If y'all have never had a veggie Whopper, let me tell you something. If you can afford the bread, on the card for a day when you're out there if you get stuck in that situation. A veggie Whopper is the Whopper without the meat. So they just take the meat off, but it has all the vegetables, the mayo, the ketchup, and a piece of cheese. And you know what? Seriously, I know you're scowling, Tina, but it does
Ugh,
taste good. It does
sounds
taste good.
disgusting, Rob.
I got it. So good. They just take the meat off. It's really good.
Ew, all that gross dressing.
Oh, well, you can say light dressing. You ain't got
I
to have
say
the whole
gross
bottle, girl.
dressing.
I have to say this before we go. Lori has hope says, Rob, you're too funny. No hard-boiled eggs being swallowed by me. So, yeah.
That's okay. We are ending, you guys. I know we are, but Thanksgiving will be here before the next time we air. What do you guys want to say to the viewers? Let's start with Zen. Zen, what do you have to say to the viewers?
I want to say I hope everybody out there has an amazing Thanksgiving and great times with family and friends and loved ones. And I hope that you all are true to yourself and enjoy to the best of your ability, whether you decide to restrict yourself or just go all out. Have a great time.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Alicia, what do you have to say?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone for, just this last year, just continuing to support me, downs, my bitchiness, and my, crying spells and everything. And I appreciate everyone so much. And I just want you guys to have a safe and happy holiday.
Okay. And I want to thank Jenny and Tina for coming on tonight and being a part of the show. You guys have two amazing alternative eating styles that are different from a lot of people's, and we thank you for sharing your stories and, just letting people get to know a little bit more about it. Before we close, though, Tina, what do you want to say?
Well, there's so much to be thankful for. And, I just wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving and a wonderful holiday season. And thank you to all of you who, love and support me on my journey. And I hope I encourage you as well. And, just go out and enjoy yourselves, you guys, and, have a great time.
Okay, and Jenny?
I just want to thank you guys all for being here tonight, and Alicia for having me on. I've had a blast. And I just want to say I think that Thanksgiving is a wonderful time, whether you are having a hard time or a great time with your family and friends, to really sit in gratitude and truly look at your life and what you have to be grateful for, even when that's difficult sometimes. And it's a great time of year to do that. So.
And I just want to say to everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. You're what continues to make this show a success. Whether you watch it live or you watch it after, I hope everybody has an amazing Thanksgiving. I had a rough year this past year with a lot of personal loss of family members in my life, but I'm still so grateful for everything, all the time I get to spend with my family and see them. And even though a couple of the ones that I love the dearest and the most, well, I love them all, but you guys know what I mean. I'm not going to see them this holiday and at Christmas and stuff, but they'll always be on my mind and they'll always be here with me one way or another. So to all of you, happy Thanksgiving from Real Talk. Thank you for joining us, and you guys have an amazing, amazing Thanksgiving.
Good night.
Bye.